points, and then you tell it where do you want the break line, and mine's going to go right there. So you do that, and you can go ahead and break it. And then down here I have a double break line, so I can repeat it and just like go to here and go down to there, right to there, and then I go ahead and break it right there. So I've got that. So I would accept just a single break line on that side and a single break line up here. I would go ahead and accept that, and then I'm going to trim with this right here. I'm going to trim off this section right there so that that doesn't bleed through, and then I don't really need to do it there. So we're good to go. So I got my break lines, and like I said, I had a double break line here. I'd accept just one though, that's okay. Okay, so now that we have that, we have the basics, and then I just got a few things that I need to hatch, okay, as far as that goes. I've got some concrete, and I've got some other things going on right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do some hatching on the concrete. So the concrete, it has to go in here and in here and in here. So let me get to my my appropriate layer, which is going to be right here. It's going to be my hatching. And I'm going to go ahead and I am going to use my hatching, and I'm going to go to AR concrete. There's a bunch of different patterns in here. I'm going to go to AR concrete right here, and let's see how that looks if I put it in there. Well, that's a little too big, so let me go to 1. I think 1 is going to be a better scale for that. I go inside here, and that's looking good, and that's looking good, and that's looking good, and that's looking good. So we're able to go ahead and hatch that, and all those are looking pretty darn good. So right now this thing's starting to look more and more like a section. Now I'm going to trim this off. This is my cutting edge, and this is what I want to trim, and it doesn't intersect with the cutting edge. Well, I think it does. Oh well, it doesn't think it does. So anyway, we're not going to worry about that. We'll leave that for right now, and we can maybe trim it later. It trimmed up here nicely. We'll just keep on going. Okay, so we got that all happening, and then I've got this, I kind of threw an obnoxious thing in here for you guys, and that is this siding over here. And I'm going to start with the siding, and it says that the siding is 1 inch by 8 inch cedar siding. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click here, and I'm going to make it 1 inch like here. And I'm going to go and slant it up here, and I'm going to slant it up, kind of bring it up here, till I get to around 8. And I'm going to type in 8 right here. And I'm just kind of eyeballing it right now, because cedar shakes are that kind of a thing. You know, they're not necessarily something that is always has to be together. I'm going to join that, so it make it a polyline. So I grab these, and boom, those are all polyline. Now once I've got that, I can copy it, and I can say, okay, I want you to be here. And I'm going to go ahead and slide it up here, and I'm going to go up past this halfway point, because it's got to be at 6.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of drop it right around there. And when I drop it there, I've got that. So what I want to do is I want to measure off 6.5 inches. So I'm going to go from here, and I'm going to go up 6.5, and to give me my my distance there. And that's actually where I want it to rest. So I'm going to move it up to that point. So I'm going to move it from here up to here. Boom, that's like that. And then I have to slant it in. So I got to rotate it. So I click on this, I click there, I go ahead and I choose rotate, and I want to go ahead and I want to rotate that so it actually is going to fit right there. So I'm going to go ahead and use my reference. And my reference is going to be from here to here, and I want it to be from here to, oh, didn't get that right. So let me try that again. The angle of this right here, let's see here, what is that angle? I don't even know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this again. I go to here, click on here, and we're going to rotate. And what I'm going to do is with the rotate command, I am going to go ahead and use a reference option. And again, we go from here to here, and I want to go ahead and let's see here, pick my, so it's a new angle. Okay, reference, come on. Specify the reference angle. The reference angle, I want to go from here to here, and I want it to go like this. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it up to here, and I'm going to kind of touch it over right to here where it intersects if I can, and it went too far. So you can see you got to kind of dink around with this a little bit, but that's okay. We can do it. I'm going to rotate it again, and this time I'm just going to go ahead and take this and see if I can't make it kind of align a little better than that. And again, reference here to here, and I want to back it off to there. Okay, so I got that. And then I might need to do a little bit of housekeeping, like move it over just a hair, so I can click it here, and I can go ahead and nudge it. There we go. So there we have that. Okay, so that looks pretty good, and then I just want to go ahead and copy a second one on top of that. So I go ahead and copy this, and I say, okay, copy this from, let's see here, we want to go from here, and we want to go ahead and grab it from this location here. We want to go up 6.5, I think. Yeah, so 6.5 again, and that actually works out pretty nicely right there. So you have your stuff there. You might want to back it off a little bit, but you get the idea. So that is how we'd go ahead and make that work. Now at this point, I could go ahead and I could trim off the top of this with this right here. This right here is what I'm going to use to trim this off with, like that, and that kind of cleans that up nicely. And then I've got that. So I've got that right there. Now, that I have this, there's a few other things, and I will go ahead and draw one of them just so you guys get the idea. There is actually a 6-inch minimum for where my earth comes down, so I want to go ahead and go to, I'll use gravel base, and I'll go here, and I'll start my line command, and I'll go 6 inches down here, because that's where I want to at least start. Go down 6, and then I want to go over this direction. I'm going to go I'm going to angle it kind of down here, and I'm going to go ahead, because it always angles off a little bit. I'm going to click there, and I'm just going to leave it. And then I want to use, I could use a spline, or I could use a polyline. I'm just going to go ahead and I'll use a polyline. And when I use my polyline, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of like do a couple of kind of jiggity-jaggedy shapes here, like this, and end it right to there. And then I'm going to double-click on it and spline it. And when I spline it, it gives it that kind of a look there. And then I can join them by selecting everything and typing the letter J, which is for join. And then it's all one entity. Okay, so that's good. Then I can hatch inside of it. So hatching it, again, I go to hatching, and this is actually an earth option right there. That's a little too dense. I'm going to go to 4 again, because I seem to be using 4 quite a bit. I go ahead and hatch in there, and then that's how that looks. And that's the same way you'd hatch the option over to the right. So we've got everything looking pretty good here. And then we just want to make sure that our dimensions are going to go in, and they're going to look good. So I'm going to go and put a linear dimension down here, and show you how this goes, and that goes down there. And that's actually saying 1 foot 8 inches, and we want to change that. So what I'm going to do is with this right here, I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to change its properties so that it is, and I did this last week with another one, so this will be no shock to you guys. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change the primary units from architectural to fractional, and then I'm going to put in a suffix, a dimension suffix, which is right here, and I'm going to type in the inch symbol and hit enter, and there's 20 inches right there for you. So that's how we were able to get that. And that's how you can do it for these others. Okay, so we've got that. So we're looking good. Okay, so now at this point, what else do we have to do? We've got to further, we have to go ahead and we got to put in some leaders. So my leaders are here, and what I want to do is if I go to my leaders right here, I want to do a couple things. You'll see I've got standard and I've got default text. I'm going to modify that. I want to do a couple things. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and put in 4 is my maximum leader points. And then as far as content, I'm going to use M text. Text height, I think 2 inches is going to work. I think it will. I'm going to hit OK. So let's see how we do here. So again, I'm going to use my text layer. I'm going to go ahead and put in a leader and see how we look here. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go ahead and touch this here and see how we look here, and click there. I'm going to hit my enter key, and I'm going to type in 1 inch rigid foam. 1 inch rigid foam. FOAM. Okay, and that's too large, so we're going to go ahead and change that because I remember what it's supposed to be. It's got to be 3/4 of an inch. So I go back to my leader, and go to modify it, and my text height has to be 0.75 or 3/4 of an inch. So we hit OK, and that updates, and that actually looks really good there. So now my dimensions as well as my leaders are all in sync, and they're looking good. Now, one other thing that I did not draw yet that I need to is the block of wood, which I'm going to put on the wall layer, and that's a 2x4. So I can just go ahead and go here and make this 4,2, and then I would go ahead and make some lines in here, like this, and then like this, and I've got those, and then I would go ahead and take this line and move it up to there. Okay, so I'd go ahead and make it go like that. So that's kind of like making that look better already. And then I have the bolt, and the bolt is something that you guys can kind of figure out to work on yourselves, but I'll show you just the basics. The bolt is going to be basically, you could make it a rectangle, or you just start with a line. But I'll start from this point right here, and I'm going to go up about 1 inch. And then I'm going to go over, actually that's probably too far. I'm going to go up half an inch. So 0.5. And then I'm going to go over this way, 1. And then, actually that's too far too. And I'm going to go over 0.5 this direction. 0.5 like that. And then down. And then over 1. And then up 0.5. And then over here. And that just gives me the top of my bolt right there. And then I could draw the bolt that goes right through. And the bolt is essentially a 15-inch bolt. And that means from the top to the bottom. So you could have a little bit of, I'm going to let you guys have a little bit of, you know, let you guys kind of work on this right here. So I'm going to go down here, and it's like 10 inches right to here. Then I'm going to angle it down and bring it down another few inches, so it'll be like 15. So it's going to be kind of like there. Then I'm going to offset that bolt. That's 0.25 in each direction. So I'm going to offset both of these, this there and this there, and this there and this there. Okay, so I got those, and I'm going to get rid of the middle lines. And that gives me that bolt right there, and then I can, oops, not that one, I want to get rid of this one. And then I can go ahead, let's see if I can do that. Yeah, get rid of this one. Okay, and then what I want to do is I want to go ahead and do this, connect these like that. And we do the same thing with these. I'm just using the fillet command. Okay, so that connects those kind of nicely. And then you're going to notice that I'm going to go ahead and attach this from there to there. And then it should be dashed. Okay, so I want to grab all those lines that make that up. And so I grab those, and I'm going to go to my properties. And I want to change their line type. Okay, the line type right now, I could change it by the, I could actually change it by the layer. So maybe that's a better way to go about it. So if I go to layer properties, and if I go to my, my bolt, I can change it to, let's try hidden, and hit OK. And let's close out of there and see how that one looks. Okay, that looks a lot better. So we're good to go there. And those are the basics. The rest of it you guys can figure out. And I think that everything is there that you're going to need. So that is how we would do the wall section plan. And good luck with that. And we will see you guys next time. So thanks a lot.